on the season finale of Rick and Morty.
Mr. President?
Some kind of alien Googa has infested the Kennedy sex tunnels. I want it hunted down and taken out.
Kennedy sex tunnels?
Naturally, you'll forget you saw them. Along with, in order of national embarrassment, the Truman Cocaine Lounge, the McKinley Hooker Dump, and the Lincoln Slave Coliseum. He didn't free them all.
The season finale of Rick and Morty, next Sunday at 11:30. Only on Adult Swim.
Hey everybody, we got new Rick and Morty finale to talk about. So there are a whole bunch of Easter eggs in that promo, but I know a lot of you are like, okay, so they're bringing back the Get Swifty president because they said that Keith David will be coming back. But what about evil Morty, who's now the president of the Council of Ricks? So I'll try to address that in the video, because if there's anything we've learned about Rick and Morty promos is that they're very misleading and they don't tell you everything that's happening in an entire episode. So if you're finding me for the first time, I will be doing Rick and Morty videos every week during the off season. Be sure to subscribe to get everything, and there will be like weekly merch giveaways too. I'll explain at the end of the video. But if you haven't listened to the commentary from the Get Swifty episode, the whole reason why Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland created the US president and Rick's relationship with him is sort of a parody on the third Doctor from Doctor Who's relationship with the US government back during the early 70s.
Doing something that Doctor Who did, which is introduce this like lieutenant character who would call Doctor Who from time to time. Doctor Who could be just off fighting Daleks and Googas and things, and like then every 8th episode, just some British dude that worked for the military would call Doctor Who back to Earth and go like, "We need your help fighting the Loch Ness Monster." And that's what I think of as this president character.
So that was sort of the impetus for the Get Swifty episode with the Cromulons. Like, oh, we got to call in Rick because he's the only one that can handle a problem of this magnitude. So it sounds like they wanted to bring Keith David back because he's fantastic and the Get Swifty episode was great. So they're using this to poke fun at a lot of the most famous US presidents. And while like all the funny things the president says they're supposed to forget, like the Kennedy sex tunnels, the Truman Cocaine Lounge, the McKinley Hooker Dump, and the Lincoln Slave Coliseum, most of those presidents on that list were assassinated in office. Shout out to Aberdolf Linkler, we haven't seen him in a while. They keep talking about him, but we don't know when he's coming back either. You may recognize the janitor getting killed by the Googas while he's sweeping those tunnels is Mike McMahon. He's one of the writers in real life. You see him in all those behind-the-scenes promos that they release after the episodes. They always work themselves in the background every once in a while. Justin Roiland was in the classroom in this past episode. They even turned Guterman into one of the Mortys in the background in that strip club during the Council of Ricks episode. But if you're asking why they're still doing the Get Swifty president on the TV show, if we had a US election, there should be a new president in the Rick and Morty universe, it's probably because they wrote this episode way before the US election last year, because animation takes a long time to complete. So they'd probably already decided to bring Keith David back. They wrote the episode, they sent it off to get animated with animatics. They'd already done a whole bunch of work on it. Then the US election happened last November, so like by the time that all went down, they were already well into production on this episode. And the whole point of the episode isn't necessarily to parody the president, it's really just to bring Keith David back so that they could do this funny story about previous US presidents. So sometimes that'll happen when there's a big US election, but a lot of TV shows do presidential episodes. Sometimes they'll just choose to ignore the actual election and just do their own thing. But right off the bat, he drops a couple big Easter eggs. So he says there are some Googas infecting the Kennedy sex tunnels. You may remember that Googas was one of the Channel 101 skits that Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland did. It was one of their first big skits together. This is a little clip from that.
Come on. What the hell are these crazy Googas? Right? That's what we're gonna call them?
I'll tell you one thing, we gotta call the cops, we gotta call the army. I mean, this is like ghoulies out there.
What if the cops come and hurt him? What if this is not like Ghoulies, but it's like Alf?
Alf was adorable. This is Ghoulies.
This is like Alf.
Ghoulies.
Guys, we're like Party of Five.
That was from almost 10 years ago, so that's why they look so different. But Googas are just like these creatures from outer space within this Channel 101 skit, so they're just bringing that to Rick and Morty. They've used the Googas as Easter eggs in previous episodes before too. But I feel like if you're a US government conspiracy theorist, this episode was built for you. Like there are secret tunnels underneath the White House, but there's just like a secret bunker. But people always believe, there's all kinds of things built underground. The president built all kinds of tunnels so that he could get around. Kennedy sex tunnels so that he could go have sex with all these women that he was with. But it'll be fun to see how Rick and Morty treats stuff like that. The interesting thing about the title, though, getting into evil Morty territory, the Rick-Churian-Morty date is sort of a play on the idea of the Manchurian candidate, where you basically have somebody who's trying to be elected U.S. president, but he's being controlled by communists. That's the classic movie. It's sort of a Cold War conspiracy tale, like where they basically brainwash somebody and try to get him elected president so that the communists can control the United States by controlling the president. So nowhere in this promo does anybody seem like they've been brainwashed. That might have something to do with the Gugas, that might have something to do with the Galactic Federation because we still haven't seen Phoenix Person or Tammy come back yet, or it might even have something to do with Evil Morty. Just remember that the promos that they've released this season so far, primarily the Atlantis promo, was completely misleading. So just be prepared for a whole lot of other stuff to be happening in the episode besides what you see in this little clip here. But also in that same vein, they do set things up in previous seasons that they don't completely answer. Like Evil Morty back at the end of season 1, he just goes off into the distance, he walks away and you don't know what happens to him till you get to season 3, episode 7. There was this interview that I posted a little while ago where Justin Roiland talks about threads that they have. Like, we set up a bunch of threads that we can pick up on later if we want to.
I've said this a couple times today. I think that, we've left a lot of sweater threads. Is that it? Sweater or little loose ends, little dangly dangles that we're gonna come back to.
When we're in no rush.
Yeah, we're in no rush.
So in the off chance that we don't see any Evil Morty or there's no post-credit scene or nothing addressing the big WTF moments of the season that we're just kind of left hanging like, oh my god, what's going to happen now? They could just leave stuff like that for season 4. But for those of you asking why they haven't made any official season 4 announcements yet, they actually have been in the office working on Rick and Morty, and if the finale is done, then I ask you, what are they doing in the Rick and Morty office? Normally when seasons finish, they'll pitch ideas for the next season, they'll start writing some outlines, and then they'll go on a hiatus for a couple weeks and then come back and start writing the next season again. So one of the writers posted a picture of the Rick and Morty office from yesterday. So literally they finished writing the finale a while ago. They delivered it. Usually the last thing they do on episodes is add the music to it. After the animation is done, after they ADR some of the dialogue, Justin Roiland sometimes has to go back in after episodes are done and fix some of the dialogue if it doesn't sound as good as they want it to. So once that's all done, then they ship it off. So that's been done on the finale for a while. So if the writers are still in the Rick and Morty writers' room, it's probably because they're starting to write season 4. I haven't seen anything official about that, so I couldn't say, they're X number of episodes deep into the season, or they have outlines for X number of season 4 episodes. But hopefully, if they work all the business stuff with their contracts out behind the scenes, because Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon were working on contract renewals for future seasons of Rick and Morty, they really want to make it. It's just that the business stuff behind the scenes and how they get paid and all that stuff needed to be worked out.
Productively, Justin and I, we're going to figure out how to make season 4 faster, more efficient.
How?
We're gonna open the hood on that creative process and help us.
We're gonna do it.
Help ourselves generate Rick and Morty so much faster that season 4 can premiere up to 2 hours after season 3.
So even though they're not quite done with that yet, they probably started working on season 4 stuff, just anticipating that everything would work out and they'd roll things along and get season 4 out by next year so there wouldn't be a huge 1.5 to 2 year wait like there was last time. But if I hear anything official about that, or if they drop any clues, then I'll totally post a video about it. And I'll be doing videos during the off season every week. So it'll be a mixture of theory videos, bonus videos from the season, Easter eggs, and then obviously any big news that they drop or any bonus features. And then I'll be doing DVD giveaways too, but they haven't announced when they're releasing the season 3 DVD. That'll probably be sometime next year. So whenever they do announce that, I'll start doing the giveaways for the DVDs. But all you have to do to enter the giveaway is just be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video. Congratulations to the winner from my last video, Ultra Nerd. You win a copy of one of the new art books. Please private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. There'll be a new round when I post new Rick and Morty later this week. So you can click here for more Easter eggs, and you can click here for my video all about Rick's wife. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.